Hey there UKDCers, I finally have the full review of this, the Hinderer XM Slippy Vintage Edition. These are of course made in the USA, and this retails on their website for $315. If you live outside of the US, that'll be an extra $34 shipping, which at the time translated to £277.90. Add to that the £60.66 import fees I had to pay, and that totals to £331.56 at the time of purchase to get this in my hands. That's generally cheaper than you'll pay over here, so it's actually not a bad idea to just order straight from Hinderer if you're after one of these. That said, Heine Haynes do occasionally stock them, and the prices are fairly similar. I think it's about £10 more at Heine, but you'll get it a hell of a lot quicker. So there you go. It is worth noting, before I move on, that I did receive this in unsatisfactory condition. It was missing a little stop pin from inside. That stop pin right there, just by the action. They were happy to send me out a new one, however, I damaged some other parts taking this apart to find out what the problem was, and it also resulted in a ding in the blade. Not being in the USA, I didn't want to send this back because I'd probably have to end up paying the import fees again, even though you shouldn't have to, but it's a long process, and customs aren't exactly great. But anyway, yeah, so I didn't want to send this back to the US. It's a lot of companies' policy to send the knife back to them for repairs like that, so a bit of an iffy one, but something to consider. If you want to go and see that in more detail as it unfolds, go to my first impressions of this knife, where I've got the full thing documented and you can have a look at it properly there. So anyway, the box is here. It's just your plain standard affair with a sticker on the top and a sticker on the side there with your individual serial number. Just no frills, nothing special. Certainly doesn't wow me, but I guess they're the kind of company that would rather just put the money in the knife. I know a lot of people prefer that. Warranty will be on screen for you now. You can pause it if you want to read any bit of it. It will fly past. Link will be in the description anyway if you really want to have a good old look at that. Action on this knife. You can of course move this thumb disc anywhere up on this line here to adjust the opening strength, and also you can remove it completely and just use this as a pinch. I've got it about in the middle and I quite like that. And closing strength is 900 grams or 2 pounds, and that's just about in the middle of all my other knives I've tested. So if you want to go and see that lined up in a big table, the spring strength table is also linked in the description, and you can have a look at everything at will and how it all matches up. But yeah, so there you go. Washers on this are phosphor bronze. Hardware is just a mess. This is probably my least favourite part of these XM Slippies so far. You've got one hex key there, another hex key for those two. You've got Torx bits for these. You've got Phillips head for these. He provides the tool with this for this one, which is a very, very small Allen key. There. You also need another tool for that, which is like a U-spanner. It looks like this. Sort of one of those dealies will undo that. Or hold it so you can undo it from the other side. But be warned, Hinderer do not want you to open their Slippies. It's not designed for that, and they absolutely coat this screw here that goes all the way through in red Loctite, so just don't. It's not worth taking these apart at all. Even though I've done it on all of the Slippies I own, it is a pain in the ass. Scales on this are a lovely walnut, as you can see there. I'm a huge fan of that. I really, really like that. Really suits the vintage style of this. Feels nice in the hand. It's ultra light as well. Really like this thing. I think it's 78 grams, which feels nothing in the pocket. You also have titanium liners, as you can see there. Titanium pocket clip as well, and a spacer. And the titanium's all given this lovely green sort of, almost like rusty copper, or like just patinaed copper, I guess, rather than full rust. But yeah, just a nice old green sort of vintage styling, as well as all the hardware has been anodized bronze. And all in all, it gives this really nice, along with the parkerized blade there, gives it a really nice sort of complete vintage feel, and I really do like the look of that. Your opinion, of course, may vary, but I think they've done really well with that. The pivot is not captive. You do get a little lanyard hole here, and the pocket clip, which will come tip down, as that's how Hinderer likes to carry it, but he's wrong, so I switched it to tip up. It's not left-hand compatible, I'm afraid, the pocket clip, although if you take that off, and you can buy these spacers separately, not sure if you can get the vintage colour, but you can certainly get some kind of colour spacers separately. The blade itself is completely ambidextrous. You know, obviously it's just a disc, and if you want to take the disc off entirely, even better for, you know. But either way, the cutouts on both sides. So this is left-handed, but you would need to probably remove that pocket clip to get it to do that nicely. Grip on this thing, these are always fantastic to me. You get this little belly here for your fingers, you get this little groove, and this groove for your fingers, and a finger choil there. This isn't going anywhere at all. Incidentally, this one doesn't have jimping, even though it's still from the same cut. The liners are still the same as all the other Slippies that you can see. There's cut out for where the jimping should be, but because it's made out of wood, the walnut wouldn't be able to handle that. It would probably end up with just tips breaking off, so they've just ignored it and just gone for a smooth finish, which is completely fair enough. I don't think it detracts at all. Like I said, this isn't going anywhere anyway. You really do not need. I mean, this is one of the grippiest knives in the hand. Huge fan of the way this feels, and of course you get your finger choil that stops that from closing on you, and if you want to choke up, you can do that. So there you go. Fit and finish on this is average at best. You know, the scales, you can see like the gap there. Look, you can see my finger through the liners, which is a shame. Of course, it came in a bit of a state, and I don't know if you've noticed, but there is blade rub, which is an awful shame. And you know, the centering is very slightly favours the pocket clip side. I've tried and tried. I've adjusted this, taken it all apart. I've adjusted the pivot multiple times. I can get it centered, but it always slowly drifts over to this side. I've completely coated that in blue Loctite. I'm not willing to go red, but blue's fine. And even then, you know, with absolutely zero blade play, so it's not a loose pivot or anything. It's just, I think this knife just favours the clip side, unfortunately. And like I said, that does result in some blade rub, as you can see there, which is an awful shame on a parkerized blade. So yeah, not great marks on fit and finish, unfortunately. It's not terrible by any stretch, but it's just, I just can't give it good with those issues at this price point. So there you go. Blade material is 01 tool steel, which has been parkerized, and yeah, you will notice that if you're used to handling Hinderer's 20CV, which is absolutely fantastic. This stuff keeps its edge for such a long time. I really like this stuff. You will absolutely notice it's night and day, the edge retention on these. I had to sharpen this just before I did this review. I gave it a little test and it was awful. You know, it was all up here, was just blunt. I've had to sharpen this, including then, that's now 3 times since I've been using this, and that's not including the initial sharpening I had to do to get that little dent out from when it shipped without the stop pin. So this has already had a fair few sharpens on it, but that's to be expected with tool steel. You know, it's not like he's like advertising something else or anything. This is not a super high carbon steel or anything like that. It's just 01 tool steel. So you know what you're paying for, I guess, but it's not as hard wearing as this by any means. You do get some logos on here. You get the little Hinderer logo, USA 01 for tool steel, and that is your individual vintage 1639. And as you can see, that matches up with the 1639 on my box there. Length comparison against some other known knives. So let's do these first. There should be some stats on screen for you. Out of the way, cat. There is a Benchmade 940 and a Buck 110, and you can see it's quite a lot smaller than both of those, to be honest. It's just a small little UK legal one here. And as for the UK side of things, we have a UK PK, which is very nearly identical to. It's just a little bit smaller in the handle, I think, and then it's a bit bigger, to be honest, than the Victorinox Pioneer. In summary, I mean, I still love it. I love this design. I've been a fan of this design ever since I finally decided to pay for my first one. This one, way back when. I did sell my slicer grind to get this one because they're essentially the same blade shape, so I didn't see the need for two of the same knife, exactly the same knife anyway, in just with different materials, I guess. Even though I understand that these are all very similar. But yeah, just so Hinderer has like two different prices for these. The sheep's foot and the normal slicer are in the lower price bracket. The Spanto and the vintage are in the higher price bracket. Now the Spanto I can sort of understand because it's got the DLC coating and, you know, the thicker Spanto grind, so I guess I can get that one. This one, yeah, you're just paying for the sort of looks, I guess. This is more of an art piece when compared. You know, if you were serious about doing a job and you could buy this or this for the same price, if you didn't buy this, you're a muppet, honestly. I mean, this will do the job, of course. You know, let's not split hairs here. You know, of course they're all knives; they're all going to cut stuff, but this one will last a hell of a lot longer than this one, as well as the scales being much more resilient material than this. You know, if you drop this, you're likely to dent the edge there. This will be fine. I really feel like this should be in this price bracket, or maybe even lower. You know, for 01 tool steel, I get, okay, you're paying for the anodization of these, but that takes like, what, 3 seconds to do. The parkerization, okay, I can get the parkerization, but I still don't think it's, you know, you're not getting enough to be in this price bracket. I think it should be in this one. But there you go. So Hinderer is his own worst enemy here, I think, but they'll sell anyway. People really like the vintage, and, you know, myself included, I'm still liking it, even with the problems. If I was a new guy buying these today and I wanted a knife like this, I would maybe just get this or the slicer, because it's, you know, the same for less money. Well, better materials really for less money. Or if I had a little bit more money, maybe I'd get, you know, the Chris Reeves Impinda, which, as you can see, is quite similar in sort of, you know, the shape and stuff. And I really like this. This is probably my favourite knife at the moment. Absolutely in love with this thing. You can also go for the ADV at this sort of price range. I mean, you can basically go for anything at this price range. The Liangmar Traveller springs to mind, but I mean, $315, or, you know, £331 will get you a lot of knife. You really don't need to go this crazy. You have to sort of really like this design to be willing to spend that much on it, and I mean, with the problems like that, that's a hard sell to me. You know, it is still very nice looking, and I know of a couple of happy owners in the UK. I also know of one owner that's had similar issues to me with the blade rub, which is a shame, because as you can see on this one, which, you know, this one's also been taken apart multiple times. I believe it's also on the backdrop to my channel. If you go and look at the main page, this doesn't have any blade rub whatsoever. It's never even touched the scale. Look, has his manufacturing just gotten worse, or maybe it's pandemic related or something? I don't know, but it's disappointing nonetheless. It's just one of them sad things. But oh well, it's still a lovely tool to use. I just can't recommend it with the problems it comes at this price tag. Especially, maybe if you live in the US, it's a much easier proposition because you can just send it back and it's in the same country. But over here in the UK, that's a much more difficult proposition. So yeah, I like it, but I really don't like the problems you're getting at this price range. So I guess what I'm going to leave off with this one. So thank you very much for watching, and cheers.